Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for joining us on this fashion NFTs in the Metaverse panel. I'd love it if you'd be able to introduce yourselves. So maybe Lauren can go first. Yeah.
Sure. Sounds great. So hi, I'm Lauren Kacher. I also go by Kahlo on my Metaverse identity. I'm an American fashion designer and I have experience in New York, London, and I'm actually now based in Paris. And yeah, just a bit about my background. Before the pandemic, the past 2 years, I was working within luxury houses and brands to really find ways to bring sustainability into the design process and the products, and as well as like kind of creating digital first designs to help brands to visualize design before going physically. And so since then, with the pandemic and also my discovery and learning more and more about digital fashion, like what we're wearing today, it made me to really like want to progress more in this area. And about a year ago, I came across a conference by Anina.net, and that's where I really started to learn about all the aspects within this growing industry. And so it led me to now found Alterrage and kind of address two key problems that I see in fashion. So the first is about how product is made and used. And so for me, I'm a designer, so that is what I'm the most familiar with. So right now in production, when we create, when we design, it's really disposable. And we don't always think about like what is the end of the life cycle of that product. And kind of the second topic that we're trying to address is this really a bit hierarchical structure. How do we kind of break that down to be more democratic and kind of start to implement these Web3 tools and remove this phrase of breaking into fashion? How do we kind of start to change that? So that is now what we're working on at Alterrage. And so Alterrage is one of the first decentralized digital fashion labels. We're really focused on being a brand. And so we're using Web3 technology to pioneer a future industry that really combines co-created digital collections, even environmental activism, and also finally like DAO, decentralized autonomous organization values in that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. And what about you, Zuzana?
Hello, Jing and Lauren. I'm excited to be here with you. I am Zuzana Bastian, and I'm the co-founder of Jevels, which stands for Virtual Jewels, and which is also the first NFT platform dedicated to virtual jewelry and other fashion accessories. Our main focus is to make each of the designs, each of the NFTs on our website wearable, either in augmented or virtual realities. So although I come from a scientific background, I'm a pharmacist, I have always been attracted to fashion. Fashion has always been a passion of mine. And discovering the concept of digital fashion back in 2020 was a revelation because it was exactly in the middle of the pandemic, and we were all sitting many hours a day in Zoom calls, having to dress physically, even though we only were connected virtually. So we started Jevels with the aim to bring an innovative and also sustainable solution into the fashion industry, where you can dress with one click, and also where the designers are valued for their work. So as a result, we collaborate with 3D designers, just like Lauren here. Lauren was one of the first designers to collaborate with us. We collaborate with traditional jewelry creators and also brands from around the world to bring their designs to life and into the metaverse.
Interesting, thank you. Just a little bit about me. I now work as an advisor and business development person for two platforms. One's called Brand New Vision, which they're both NFT fashion platforms,
yeah.
And the other is another one. One is based in Shanghai, the other is based in Hong Kong. So my expertise and background before I discovered NFTs actually was also in something, it was in journalism and traditional print media, magazines and newspapers specifically. So I was the fashion editor at the South China Morning Post for many years, which is where I met Esther, and editorial director or managing director of kind of fashion luxury magazines. And it was through actually writing about, NFTs and how it relates specifically to creative industries like fashion, because, or art or something, that really started getting me very passionate about the possibilities of this, not only, on the kind of blockchain technical aspect side of ownership and, transparency, but also on the creative side of the kind of limitless possibilities that this could have in the metaverse. So I wanted to ask you both. I mean, what is, for a lot of people, they don't really understand digital fashion per se, right? Because we're used to more hoodies and what we're wearing on us. What is digital fashion now? How is it worn, and how do you think it's going to evolve in the future?
Yeah, so can I start with that? I think it's so exciting to say that digital fashion can not only be collected but also worn, and this is the question. To wear the first digital-only dress, which was verified as an NFT, called the Iridescence, I think everybody knows this one, designed by the fabricant back in 2019. It was photoshopped on the owner's picture, which was already great, which is incredible innovation. And also, this approach has been chosen by Dressix, Republic, and other companies in the digital fashion space. But which excites me more is that the AR technology has evolved since then, and we can see beautiful examples of dressing digital fashion or digital-only garments with these AR filters. So, for instance, I personally loved wearing the Venus strap dressed by Ouroboros via their filter. I don't know if you tried it, but it was back in last summer where they made it available, and it was incredible. And for me, digital fashion is, as you said already, about creativity, limitless opportunities, and what you can do with simple tools everybody has access to. We at Jevels, we focus on virtual jewelry, and with each NFT on our platform, we create, as I said, filters, AR filters that are not only compatible with social media, but also enable wearability, during video calls and on Zoom.
So when you buy the NFT on Jevels, it will be like a collectible as well as a filter that you can apply, right? So both those aspects come with the NFT.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to come to later. So actually, the NFT is the source file of the design, the GLB file, which we provide to each, or which is provided to each of the NFT owners, with the aim also to make it not only wearable in the AR, but also in the virtual space. Because as we all know, the digital fashion originates from the gaming industry, where millions of people are spending a lot of money to buy skins for their avatars. And I think it's very interesting to see that various virtual worlds are emerging with solutions on how digital fashion can be worn. However, these are not yet interoperable. So what we have done is that some of our designs are already wearable in crypto voxels, for instance. But with this GLB file, we think that it's going to be the way how to make it wearable on other avatar platforms. So digital fashion is wearable, and it's excited to be here at this time. Because
so I guess the evolution would be that kind of transference, that ease of transference between the different platforms, right?
Yeah, I think so. And what I wanted to mention, there was an article 2 weeks ago in Forbes that 15% of our wardrobe will be digital, will be with digital garments. And I think it can be even more when the usability is there. So I think if we work all together on the use cases, on the wearability of these digital assets, it can get even more, and it's going to be even more exciting.
And what do you think about the word, phygital fashion, right? The physical plus the digital. What is that bringing to the table that isn't already, existing in fashion?
Yeah, so I'm very happy to see that the fashion industry is starting to embrace the technological innovations, but I think the evolution into purely virtual fashion has to start with something tactile, because we like to dress ourselves also physically. So when we work with physical brands, we recommend starting with a digital twin of a favorite article of that brand, because then they can more easily onboard traditional customers into the metaverse. So I think it offers the all people or the customers the possibility to wear their favorite fashion article in any room, not only the real ones, but also the virtual ones. And the digital item, in addition, can be made customizable by the customer. I think this is the trend we need to follow, and what we see also with the Gen Z. And I would like to show you, because actually these earrings I'm wearing existing.
Yes, I really want to talk about the earrings, because all three of us are wearing earrings. Mine are real, and you two have got the digital earrings on. But I couldn't tell actually in the beginning when we first.
Thank you for asking that. These are
like
digital.
Yeah. And I also, since we're on the topic of phygital, I think it's important that we first kind of define what phygital means, because it's a really broad word, and it's like sustainability, it's like metaverse, like it's still being made. And so I look back and say, what is like the original definition of that? And it was made in 2013 by Momentum Agency, and it basically just means the balance between the physical and digital world. But when they started, it was more referring to kind of like a retail experience. And so now it's really like transitioning to like how we wear and own our products. And so like you said, Zuzana, like I think digital twins are really interesting, and like a good stepping stone for brands to start. It's not as far as a jump to go from something you already see physically to then implementing it in a digital space, and then deciding like what utilities you want to have affixed to that. And so especially for us at Alterrage, we're kind of taking it a step further than just phygital. And so we've called this the Minerality Formula. And so it basically is thinking that we have like three worlds and like three spaces where we're trying to create our identity. So like the first is the physical world. We're like clearly very familiar with what that is. It's based more on comfort. It's also environmentally constrained. And so there are limitations and benefits to creating fashion product there. And so what we're also like all here very interested in is augmented reality, and we call this ORL, on real life, which was coined by Danny Loftus from This Outfit Does Not Exist. And so that's really like the enhancement of the physical. And so I think it's kind of like Pokemon Go, like taking this and then amplifying using digital tools. And then kind of the last sphere that we cover is, we call it LTL, and it means larger than life. And so then that's creating specifically for the metaverse, because for us at Alterrage, it's really thinking, how do you adapt your product based on the constraints of these three spaces? And I think that really takes it further than just twins, but I think twins are a great way for brands to start to offer their product in multiple spaces.
Yeah, I was going to ask, as a designer, there's an obvious the twinning concept is quite obvious, and with this earrings that you're both wearing, that could be easily seen. But isn't part of the excitement of the NFT world and digital fashion is the kind of the constraints that are unleashed when you start working in a digital space, right, where you don't have to cut, get fabric and pattern cut and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And so for the physical space, I know there's like a couple teams who think, okay, in the future, we're going to wear bodysuits and then we'll all be layering over our digital only clothing. But that's not really the world I want to live in. I want to still connect to like the planet we're on and still try to improve that real side. So for me, that's why it's still important and relevant to create physical, but doing that in a more responsible, circular way. So for us, we always start digitally. We work on like Clo, Marvelous Designer, Blender, create that initial form. And then when it's desired, there's a demand, we can create that physically. but we're more focused on the filters as of now, because like you said, like there's no constraints. Like you can be any species you want in the metaverse. It can be made of any material. It can be made of lava. Like, so for a designer, that's like a dream to be able to create a world around that, and then even tailor like your products to fit that world. So yeah, I think there's just different benefits to each space.
And there's been so much noise about NFTs. I mean, I think last year it was the art NFT, right, with Beeple's kind of record-breaking auction. End of 2021, I think 2022, it's really been the fashion NFT that's been dominating headlines, news media around the world. There's Gucci, there's the Dolce Gabbana launch that I think that raised, almost 6 million US or something. Their NFT collection. What are some of your most interesting or favorite case studies that you see happening in the space? What excites you in the space? And also what works? What do you think works and what doesn't work as well?
Yes. Do you want me to start, Zuzana?
Yeah. Just
yeah, no, there's a lot of examples popping up. I think before like kind of thinking about those specific use cases, I think NFTs aren't just about tech. It's also about like how a brand can connect now with like the consumer and their community, specifically around their project, around their vision. And that is really different right now from how fashion works. Like right now, it's like a one-to-one dialogue, and now we're making it more of a conversation. So especially within luxury, the brands normally tell the consumer what they want. But now with NFTs, I think it's an opportunity to become more collaborative, even in like the design process. Because
the
with
feedback loop is much quicker, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. All right, and avoid making waste, avoid making things people don't want, because why are we doing that? And so, I mean, like a big difference I see with Web3 is that it's really focused on co-creation. It's focused like on authenticity, transparency. And that's honestly why I really shifted what I do to be in this space, because I see it as just a more authentic place to be. And like as far as examples, I find UNXT really interesting with their project with Dolce & Gabbana. I was listening on a Spaces the other day, and they were speaking about it, and it was really nice how they found a balance between an authentic narrative, staying true to brand identity, but then making the process also understandable for traditional consumers, since like Web3 is still being built, like we're still in the process. So it's about how do we communicate this also to people who are still in like the Web2 space.
Yeah, what I would like to add as well, it's Lauren, you said it already perfectly with the feedback loop and the collaborations. And for me, a great example beside Dolce Gabbana was also Balenciaga with Epic Games. Because it was the first luxury brand to partner with Epic Games within the Fortnite game. And this means that Balenciaga reached out for the millions of gamers in the Fortnite environment. It's what I said before, the Gen Z wants to be involved also in the co-creation and so on. On the other hand, Epic Games also wanted to raise awareness of Unreal Engine, which is the 3D development software for various applications, but it enables users to render virtual worlds in real time. And I think that these possibilities of Unreal Engine will accelerate the development of the virtual spaces. So I think this will also reinforce the interoperability between them. And another example I wanted to mention is Esprit and Bugatti, which is really interesting, creating one-of-a-kind NFTs. As you say, I think it's about value, it's about ownership, and I think we can by collaborating and by minimizing waste, create a lot of value around this. Yeah.
How do you think blockchain technology can kind of change or shift the fashion industry as a whole?
Yeah, I will continue. So for me, ownership is a key element of Web3. Of course, it's about collaboration, but I think this ownership is really key, and this is what we can secure with blockchain. But owning these digital assets is entirely new for most of us. But how does it work when you own something and want to wear it, but it exists only digitally? So how is it stored? And I think the big advantage of the blockchain system is that the ownership of these digital assets can be validated and stored decentrally. And this is also how our platform works. Jevels has developed its own smart contracts. So we communicate with the Ethereum blockchain. So all virtual jewelry designs are validated as NFTs, and they are available in unlimited quantities. So it's not stored somewhere in a big cloud of a big corporation. And I think this makes all the difference. Another interesting possibility with the blockchain is the co-creation or connection of the NFT to a utility beyond wearability. You have access to some pre-sales. You can have access to some specific events or
the creation of a new club, essentially, right?
Sorry.
It's almost a creation of a new club, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, and you can be so creative. It's amazing. So the blockchain offers a lot of opportunities, and I'm really just wondering what is going to come next, because every brand comes with something even more creative, and this is really exciting.
Yeah. What about you, Lauren? How do you think it's going to change fashion for you? As someone who's, you've been in all sorts of levels of the industry.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day I was watching a TED Talk from 2017, and it still was really relevant because we don't think about like these technologies have been around. It's only now that we're really starting to implement them. And so they described it as the blockchain was a solution to our gap in trust. And I thought this was really interesting. And so, like right now, Web2, we use like contractual agreements between each other, and like we sign a document that says like you're going to stay true to what you say. But now, like with these elements in tech in Web3, whether it's decentralized technology, capital governance, like blockchain, it will change, right, how we interact and how we work together, not only in fashion, but like everything, I think.
I imagine it would be amazing. For fashion brands going through, obviously copyright and issues like that is a major problem for luxury brands in the space,
exactly. Right. And also like hierarchy and like closed doors is also a big problem. And so it's creating a bit of a barrier to entry to teams. So at Alterrage, we're actually creating like our own infrastructure around decentralization to break down this hierarchy while using smart contracts on the blockchain to establish trust. And so ideally that will allow for like more freedom and collaborations. Contribution is rewarded equally and democratically. And also Alterrage is not just run by me, it's run by a collective of those who contribute. But that's maybe another discussion about DAOs and all of these different things. But
so are you both functioning, both your companies are on the Ethereum blockchain? Yeah. That's what you use for smart contracts, right?
We believe that this is a really strong blockchain, and it offers interoperability with so many other platforms. Actually, today I read an article about Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, on Time, and he wants to be more present to reinforce the values why he created the Ethereum blockchain, and I really liked it because it's about, as Lauren said, it's about trust, a safer world, and we use Ethereum also for these reasons, because that's why we provide the owners of the NFTs with the GLB file, because it is encrypted within the blockchain that it's the designer who created this design, and you can trace it everywhere. And so we trust in the Ethereum blockchain, and yeah.
And I suppose Ethereum 2.0 coming out soon, it's becoming cheaper and faster. And actually, because this technology is still relatively nascent in some ways, there's so many developments that, every day, right, of different tokens or ecosystems that will be kinder on the environment and faster transaction speeds and everything. How do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's a very important point, because also Alterrage and also Jevels was founded for the sustainability reasons primarily, right? This was the main focus, and we wanted to leverage the innovations to bring this solution.
Yeah, and I think as we move, we'll need these bridges between these different blockchains. Like you said, there's so many projects coming up, and so for us, it's a goal to be blockchain agnostic and try to learn. We're doing a lot of research right now, like where do we want to establish and do our processes. And so I said one day, like, it seems like you have to be married to one blockchain. But I think like in the future, hopefully there will be more possibilities to have a smoother kind of switch transition.
Sure.
Do you think maybe Lauren can start with this? Is it as someone who's actually none of us work in tech, have worked in tech before we're getting into this NFT space, but the fashion industry, it's not a totally natural fit actually for crypto space. The cultures of the two industries are so different. How do you think that you could kind of encourage more traditional fashion communities and houses and things like that to kind of, obviously there's a lot of hype now, and a lot of brands are using this as a marketing opportunity, which is all very good. But how do you think you could involve like the fashion community at large, the kind of more traditional community, into this world?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we're speaking two different languages right now. And so for like also Jevels and Alterrage, it's like, how do we bridge that? How do we start to understand each other? Because I'm a fashion background, I'm learning about tech, and that's not even what I expected to do. But I think that is also something difficult right now for the traditional industry. I speak with my friends who are working in luxury, and they're a bit risk averse and a bit nervous that something will kind of like take over their role. And so I think what will make this successful is by showing like successful collaborations and use cases. And when people see this, they'll probably be a bit more open to trying and taking that risk, because there's definitely an element of that when you try new technologies and incorporating that into your business model. I think the second is definitely education. So right now we're still figuring it out. We're still trying to learn, build, but then at the same time, how do you put that into like a really clear process and a clear message? Even like, how do we teach people how to have wallets and use crypto, and how do we teach people to use 3D software, which is for fashion design going to be the next most desired like level and skill to have. So yeah, I think
it's a huge knowledge gap at the moment, right? It needs to be kind of built, from both sides, nudging towards the middle, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it's also the knowledge gap on the one hand, but also the value of digital items. It's not, I think people underestimate this at the moment, because they think that they cannot wear or use the items anyway. And I think they seem to forget how much time we spend virtually in our
day-to-day
life, and how much time
social media. I would say just look at the case study of social media and how that's we went from starting Instagram, I remember that, to now people are spending hours and hours a day. So I think that's actually a really great kind of way of expressing it. I think it's the next iteration of something like that. I think we're actually coming up to the end of our time now. So I just want to say thank you so much to both of you ladies. And it was really interesting to learn about both of your companies and the kind of approach you come to this world. I think it's quite new for all of us. So it's fascinating to kind of learn more about everyone's different paths.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was great to talk to you.
You too. I hope to meet you in real life sometime.
Yes, we will.
Maybe in the metaverse as well.
All right. well. Yeah.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks.